once you are done with this session, you are able to understand what do you mean by in-memory computing and why in-memory computing. And at the same time, you are able to understand what is the basic functionality and capabilities of HANA, what we can do with HANA. And then probably by the end of our session, we are able to understand what are the different options we have for ERP customers as well BW customers. And we are able to understand how technically we can leverage this HANA, to provide solutions more specific to the SAP. Alright. Guys, if you are not using, mute yourself. So I'll take all your questions by the end of session. Okay. As a basics point of view, you need to understand a little bit basics. So once I'm done with that, so I'll give some time for your questions. Then we will take all your questions. Now let's start with why in-memory processing. There are some factors which motivated why especially we are thinking about in-memory nowadays. Because if you see this, in-memory is almost 10 years old concept which we are talking about. In the table if you see, there is a one capability and speed table here which depicting the numbers. For each individual component there is a speed. Now if you are referring to CPU, it was in the past, in the midst of 90s, the speed of CPU is almost 0.05 MIPS. But the same if you see now, which is almost 7.15 faster, which means the improvement you can see there as 143x faster when you compare to the last 10 years back. Same applies for your main memory, addressable memory, network speed as well. This transfer with a huge tremendous speed in the performance. That's the one factor which means now infrastructure, everything in place to leverage our hardware components. Then one more motivating reason is, if you see the hardware cost of each peripheral, it has been slashed down like anything. If you want to purchase 1 MB RAM in the midst of 90s, that time it was a bit expensive. You need to pay minimum $30. But whereas now it's not even $1, which means the cost of hardware it's completely slashed down now. The other reason, which is the third reason, when you are processing all your amount of data, which is a large, always in the previous method we used to pull all the data from the hard disk. From there we are going to pick all our data. But now, if you see in the diagram here, so whatever the data, now let's say when you are talking about I have 1.5 billion data to be processed from source to my reporting system. So always in the past it was a bottlenecks because it's the same old technology, old hardware, where you don't have that much mechanism where it can boost up your performance or something. So always, in the past, disk speed is growing slower than all the other hardware components. So now we are completely shifting a new paradigm and we are going to use a new method. No more hard disk will be used. Just hard disk will be kept for the backup purpose, and whatever the data you got, irrespective whether it's 2 millions, 10 millions, 100 millions or 1 billion, 2 billions, dump all your data into main memory, where whenever if you run your report, you are going to get all the data from the main memory. So that's the reason nowadays we don't have any bottlenecks, though if you say a huge amount of data, because everything we are pulling from the main memory, as we have a special hardware and special software to support our needs. So whenever if your system is not able to handle your data needs, your traditional databases are not able to handle your data needs, then the big data comes into the picture, in which from SAP the instrument is SAP Hana, like we got from Oracle as Exadata and even from IBM also. But from specifically when you are talking SAP, we gotta use innovations. This is the one which we are talking about particularly, why especially we are thinking about in-memory nowadays. Now let's try to understand what do you mean by in-memory. An in-memory database is a database management system that primarily relies on main memory for computing data storage. So in the past, always we used to store all our data in the hard disk. From there we are going to pick all the data. But now when you say in-memory, you are not going to keep any data in the hard disk. Probably whatever the data you are going to keep just for the backup purpose. But when you want to process, when you are retrieving, when your user is trying to run the report, it is going back to the RAM. From there, it is going to pull all the data. So that's the basic thing when you say in-memory. Now let's try to understand. With that, if you are using a special hardware, if you are using a RAM, where pumping all the data into RAM, how it is going to increase your performance? As you know, you take any SAP systems, you will be having 3 layers, starting with the database, application, and top, presentation. So in the past, if you see all our calculations, manipulations, we used to take place in the application layer. Now, as we have infrastructure, technology, everything is available. So whatever the burden you have at your application layer, completely we are pushing down to database, which you are going to do all the calculations, manipulations in the database layer, and simply you are going to transfer the results to the application layer, so that it will increase your performance, whatever the benefits offered by in-memory database management system. Because when you are talking about some, let's say I have a 1 billion data, so I need to process my 1 billion, and what are the transformations, what are the calculations I have, it needs to calculate. So in the past, always it used to take place in the application layer, which is always bottlenecks in the past. Now with that, we are completely pushing down to database, which increase our performance. Now let's try to understand what do you mean by HANA. So there are 2 reasons why we call it as a HANA. The person who owned and who given the solution is known as SAP Hana, who is the one co-founder from SAP. So initially they want to name it as a HASO new architecture, which is a very lengthy. So to make it short, they have taken HA from HASO, N from new, architecture from A. So altogether it's HANA. That's the one reason. And other reason, it's high performance analytics appliance. It's basically some kind of appliance. When you say HANA, it's an in-memory database as well appliance. HANA is a pre-packed and pre-configured appliance that is ready to run the in-memory database on a multi-core process hardware with a terabytes of memory. So in a one word, if you want to understand what you mean by HANA, it's a analytic appliance where you got your own dedicated in-memory SAP software and plus SAP special hardware. So moreover, when you say HANA, it's a database technology which typically supports your SQL and MDX interfaces. So if you want to understand at a top level, this is the HANA appliance, which is with the background of green color, where physically you are dumping all your data in this. So physically data will be available here to support for further processing and your query accessing and whatever, all the ETL and data warehousing capabilities. So we got different engines are available in the HANA database, and to do support for all your needs, we got only one software, what we call in-memory computing studio or IMCE studio or HANA studio. So we are referring to the same software. So using this, you are going to do all your modeling as well, all our HANA database administration also. When you say HANA studio, it is meant for modeling as well administration. So on the down you can see there are a few SAP source systems, even non-SAP. You are going to pull all the data from different source systems and pump it to HANA. On top, either you can use business objects as a reporting tool or any third-party tool also. So HANA typically supports 3 different interfaces. One is SQL, another one is MDX, And apart from that, we have a new interface, what we call BICS, which is new for business intelligence, business objects, a reporting tool. When I say BICS, it's Business Intelligence Consumer Services. HANA is a technology which allows the processing of massive quantities of real-time data in the main memory of the server to provide immediate results from analysis and transactions. So you need to understand here the technology what we are using is completely different what we used in the past. So for example, if you are talking about the hardware part, we are going to use multi-core architecture, which means, now let's say I have 10 CPUs in my box. In that, for each CPU I can accommodate one blade. Again, in each blade I can accommodate 8 different processors, which means if I am using 10 CPUs in my box multiplied by 8, which is I am going to use 80 processors in the same box, which is going to support your multi-parallel processing. So with that, you are going to get a huge performance. When you want to deploy your HANA system, you are going to buy this appliance from the SAP certified hardware partners who are known as Intel, HP, IBM, Cisco, Fujitsu, Dell. So apart from these hardware innovations, we have a few from software also. So here we need to talk about row and columnar store. When you say row and columnar store, we are very familiar with when you say row table, where we used to store all our data in the tuple manner. But here what we are going to use is the majority of the tables by default, per default, it will be columnar stores, which is completely new in memory concepts. In the source system, now for example, when you are talking about your MARA table, M-E-R-A table, in your SAP source system, it will be a row table. When you extract your data from source to HANA, by default, per default, it is going to act as a columnar store, which is only for the write access. And with that, it is going to save your memory and it is going to increase your performance also. So with that, whatever the compression, whatever the partitioning you do, it's 100%. Now let's say in my traditional database, it is around 10 terabytes of data. When you pull all the data, if you see in HANA, it comes to around 2 terabytes. So that's the difference what you are going to get, the advantage of your columnar store. And here, as typically in any traditional databases or data warehouses, you know that when you pull all your data, we are going to do some aggregation, right? But in HANA, there is no aggregation. Whatever the format, whatever the dump you have in your source, in the same format, we are going to pull all the data from source to HANA. That's the reason why we said a no aggregated table. And this is one more beauty feature, which is insert only and delta. Now let's say in the past when you want to insert or update a new records where there was a locking system, but here no locking. So at any point of time, whenever you can upload, whenever if you want, you can pull your data from the source to HANA. So these are the few things. And before SAP introducing HANA into the market, they have done some test case by taking a huge amount of data. This was conducted on Unilever customer. So it was a very huge amount of data with a 460 billion records and 50 terabytes of data to process. Earlier it was taking around 77 minutes. With the same, HANA is taking only 13 seconds, and where you can see your query output in a 0.04 seconds. Just see the volume of data what we are offering. It's a 460 billion records with a 50 terabytes of data, where query is responding back in 0.04 seconds. And just to summarize and conclude, with a 1 million records of speed scan of data and 10 millions per 1 sec per core, that is the aggregation speed, and it's almost 200x performance faster. So this was the one test case conducted. It's almost 1.5 years back. Now if you want to scale out, you can use maximum as 100 terabytes, which SAP typically supports. So now we are completely moving to the deep dive of technical abilities. So that was the second of the session. So we are done with the first part. So let me know if you have any questions. Arun, David, Satya.
No, I'm fine. I'm okay.
Okay, good. Satya?
I'm fine. I'm okay.
Okay. Okay, good. Now let's completely enter into the technical era. So let's try to understand how you are going to leverage HANA. So the way from source, you know all the data is available in the source system. So you are going to pull your data from source to HANA. So here we had different mechanisms to pull all my data from source to HANA. The first method, what we call, it's trigger-based replication. In your source system, you are going to do some kind of a configuration, what we call as a SAP landscape transformation, and sometimes we used to call it as LTR also, landscape transformation replication, irrespective whether it's SAP or non-SAP. So once you've done your SLT, after that, whatever the data you're going to pull, it's real-time data. And there is another way, the second option, what we call ETL-based replication. Sometimes your few of your users says, I don't want to see all my Zen data which is coming from my source. I want to cleanse my data and I want to see more quality of my data. Then you are going to do some kind of a transformations while pulling the data from source to HANA at the time of extracting your data. So then you'll use one more ETL tool called BODS, which is Business Objects Data Services. You are going to pull all the data from source to HANA, but this is not a real-time data. There was always latency of 30 minutes to 1 hour. So that's the reason why I'm saying it is not a real-time. So these two methods you are going to pull from application layer. But if you see the third mechanism where you are going to pull directly from the database. So that's the reason why we call it as a log-based replication. Whenever if your user do some changes for the existing data or any modifications, it will be captured as a log. So where you will be having your redo log and undo log. You are going to leverage that logs and pull the data from directly database. So this is the third type of what we call log-based replication. And again, this is a real time. If you see the data abstraction, in the trigger-based replication, which is very high as you are pulling from the application layer. But if you see log-based, which is very low, because directly we are pulling from the database. As trigger-based replication is a real-time data and detail-based replication is not a real-time, it's near real-time, and log-based is again real-time. So these are the three different options how you are going to pull all your data from sources to HANA. So once you pull all your data, what are you going to do? So obviously we need to do some kind of a modeling. So irrespective whether it's SAP, non-SAP, whatever the data, once data is available into SAP HANA, on top of those underlying tables, you are going to create some kind of a views which are virtual in nature. So that's what we call attribute view. You are going to represent your master data on top of whatever 3, 4, 5, 10 tables. You are going to create some views. And analytical view is the way how you are going to represent your master as well transaction data, because by the end of the day your users are much interested to see those KPIs, the measures. So typically if you are referring to any data warehouse, what we call it as a cube. Whenever if you are based on your requirement, your analytical view is not sufficient, where you need to write down some piece of code to get and to customize your requirement, then you will go with calculation view. You have some more than one fact table. So as you know, the basic concept is always, as if you are referring to star schema, a large fact table in the middle surrounded with several dimension tables. So then you will go with your calculation view. So once you are done with this all kind of views, you are going to consume again the same views in the reporting layer. That's what we call, either you can use business objects or any third-party tool. And to provide some security for these views in HANA particularly, we are going to use privileges to provide some security. And procedures will play a key role to pushing down from application layer to database layer. So with stored procedures, we are going to achieve that. And once you are done with your modeling, so obviously the final, what we call reporting. So here in HANA, as you know, depend upon your capability and depend upon your need, you are going to pick a reporting tool. Now here, so you pulled all your data from different source systems using different data provisioning techniques, and already you have created some kind of a views, which means now all your views are available here. So we are going to talk to our database with the use of some reporting tools. Here you can see Crystal appears in two places. Always the beauty lies with the Crystal reports are it can talk to any database directly. So as we said, we got a SQL as an interface supporting, we have drivers what we call ODBC and JDBC. So either directly I can connect to Crystal reports or via semantic layer also I can connect. A semantic layer is a one layer which transmits all your technical things to normal, where users wants to do some own reports, then they need semantic layer. And some user says, I want to create my report by my own, where which supports typically ad hoc reporting, then they will go for WebI. Some user says, I don't want to see the typical traditional reports, what we call tabular reports. I want to see some kind of a dashboard which gives some immense output or immense user interface with a lot of dynamism, where I can select some values and dynamically it is going to change all my graphs and meters. So then you will go with dashboards. And apart from that, we have something called Explorer as well, Analysis Office, which is new, where your user wants to play around with the data, the way how you are going to explore with the data. So then you will go with View Explorer. And Analysis Office is a one more new tool, which is almost similar to in nature in Excel, but you got a lot of additional capabilities are available in this reporting tool. So this is the way how you are going to leverage this technically when we speak in terms of leveraging HANA capabilities. Now let's try to understand nowadays the basic equations of enterprise data warehouse. As you know, all SAP or non-SAP systems are running using some traditional databases. Underneath and top, we are running our BW systems or even ERP systems. So this is a typical classical enterprise data warehouse equation right now what we are using. Now the change is that if you observe in the same diagram, I'm moving to the next slide, you can notice our BW system is already running on top of HANA, where HANA is an in-memory database. On top, we are running BW system, where it supports new applications also. And if you observe on the left-hand side, still all SAP systems are running underneath the traditional databases. So going forward, the vision of SAP is that to have, we are talking about a future state of HANA. This is right now, this is not available. You can see here, there is a HANA as a one in-memory database. On top, you can run multiple SAP, non-SAP systems. Just imagine what we are talking about, which means you are not going to transfer the data from one system to another system or a source from ERP to warehouse or something, because by the end of the day, it will be one common database. On top, you are going to run all your databases. So that this feature will be available in the future. So right now this is not available. So you need to understand particularly the roadmap. So as SAP started with HANA as a 1.0, and after that we got 1.0 with a support pack 1, 2, 3. When we got SPS 3, this option is available, where if you want to run your HANA as an in-memory database on top, if you want to run your BW system, you can run. After 1.3 we got a 1.4, now the latest version is 1.5. So going forward, once you get HANA 2.0, where you can run on top of HANA as an in-memory database, you can run any SAP Business Suite systems or even non-SAP systems. That's the future direction what SAP is going. Now with that, if you want to understand what exactly right now with the HANA, what are the current enterprise data warehouse equations. Today when you say enterprise data warehouse, it's always a typical traditional database plus X, which is a BW system, and older BW system, the older versions. Now with that, when you say traditional database is nothing but HANA, thus the basic equation derives enterprise data warehouse is equals to HANA plus Y, where Y is equals to new BW. Which means HANA is going to replace your traditional database, not BW system, and always HANA complements and renovates BW system. Now we'll see what are the different options we have for ERP customers. As we know, if I want to use underneath my ERP system where I want to use HANA, on top HANA, if I want to run my ERP or any SAP Business Suite systems, as that is not right now available. That's the future state of HANA, where we are expecting HANA 2.0 version. So this option right now is not available. So as a workaround, if some customer says, I want to leverage the in-memory advantages, then simply keep up your traditional database aside and pull all the data from your traditional database to HANA. On top, you can use business objects reporting tool. So this is the one way how you are going to use what we call as a side-by-side scenario. Going forward, you will get this option where if you want to run your system, SAP ERP systems on top of HANA. So once you get HANA 2.0, you can get that. Now what are the options we left for BW customers? So it's side by side as well on top. We got both scenarios. Now here if you see, you are referring to BW accelerator. Now when you have HANA in place, you don't require BW accelerator. That's the reason why SAP is giving some discount for from BWA customers. But for remaining customers, you don't get any discount or nothing when you're purchasing HANA. So keep your traditional database aside and pull all the data from your traditional database to HANA. On top, you can use business objects as the reporting. This is what you call side-by-side scenario. Else, you can completely, if you want to eliminate your third-party database, so before that, you need to make sure that you are using your BW as the latest version. So right now, HANA supports SAP NetWeaver, BW 1.3 with a support pack 5 or even higher. So if you are not using the latest version, where let's say you are using some older version which is BA7 or BW 7.1 or even 7.3 with a support pack 1. So first you need to upgrade your older version to the latest version of BW and then start migrating your traditional database to HANA. So these are the options what we have for BW customers. So migration without re-implementation, which means you are not going to disturb any system in the landscape. Whatever the systems you have in place, so directly you are going to embed this HANA in the landscape. So at a high level, if you want to understand, this is a HANA landscape where from different source systems we are pulling all our data. See there? So here you can see SLT. From ERP we are pulling all the data and pumping into HANA. given from DW, from non-SAP, with the use of BODS. So on top, you are using reporting for business objects, BI, what we call nowadays. So as you know, SAP suggests depend upon your experience. So if you are purely some kind of using some applications, so then you are fit under application side, where you are more from your experience is more in administrating the database. You are basically administrator, like performing all typical day-to-day DB activities. Then you are known as technology. So in HANA you got two areas, application, technology. So here what I'm going to teach you, the SAP which covers in 2 plus 3, 5 days. That's what you call the HA100 and HA300. So more than that, I'm going to cover what are the content you get from HA100 and HA300. Once you take my training, after that directly you can take down the certification. In the past, couple of my students already cleared their certification. And let me show you system, how you are going to access and how you are going to use this. So this is what you call HANA Studio. So this is the initial screen. So when you click Navigator, you're going to get two things. What you call, this is your HANA database. You can notice there are two things. One is catalog, another one is content. So whenever if you pull any data from the source, it will be available in the form of under the schema. So here I'm going to get all my tables. Now if you see, there is something called SAP SR5. So this is the schema which what are the tables I'm picking from my ERP. All the data will be available physically here. So these are the tables with the data. Now if I click Kenya 1, just right click on that and say open data preview. You're going to get your data here. Now this is one view which I'm created on top of my underlying tables. You can see here. So for any validations, some kind of to verify your data, so there is no need to go to reporting tool. So directly here itself you can do, and you can analyze and you can understand here itself. So no need to again go back to the reporting tool or depend upon any reporting developer or something. So you can very much do whatever you want here itself. So once you open your table, so this way you are going to see your data. But remember, this is not a row table, it's columnar. So once you create all your views, as you know, all the tables will be comes under the schema and sits here, which are available under the content. But whenever if you create all your attribute analytical views, those will be available under the content for each respective package. Now here you can notice these are my attribute views and these are my analytical views. If I open it, some guys have deleted few tables, so that's the reason I'm not able to open this. So this is the data provisioning, how you are going to pull your data. There you can see this table is deleted. Okay, I'm done guys. So this is your turn. So let me know.
This is a tool that's being used for reporting purposes, right?
No. This is for purely a modeling and administrating your HANA database. When you say reporting, as if from HANA you don't get any reporting solution or nothing. So you are going to create whatever the views here. The same views you are going to consume in the either using business objects or any third party.
Oh, create the views, that's all.
Yeah, modeling and provisioning, pulling data from different source systems to HANA, and basic administration.
And in this modeling tool, do we have any option to update the table back? Suppose you take a customer master KNA1.
No, I think it's only maintenance, right? It's not maintenance related.
Exactly.
So it's not meant, it's just for pulling data, that's all.
Exactly.
Just processing the huge amount of data in more efficient manner.
See, it's moreover, why we are using columnar store is for picking all your data. Just for the read access, columnar stores are very powerful. So as of now, the write back option is not available. So probably soon we'll get that. But moreover, until unless if you have some kind of planning applications, you don't require to write up your data or something.
Okay. So this is just a reporting tool, and this is a repository that you're talking about as the HANA.
It's a database, not a repository. It's a purely in-memory database. So obviously you need some database to store all your data, because nowadays the data need has been increased. So that's the reason nowadays wherever if you see, we got habituated with adding a big in front of some word. For example, if you say the cinemas, we call it as a big cinema, big bazaar. So like that, for data also we are added as a big. So whenever if your traditional database is not able to handle your data needs, then your big data comes into the picture.
Okay, so you pull all your data from different systems and push into HANA-based system, and that is an in-memory database. Maybe the underlying database may be Sybase, right?
Sorry, underlying? What was the
Underlying
last statement? Yeah, so which means you are not going to use your third party or some traditional databases. You are completely trying to ignore the traditional databases which we are using.
No, but even though you keep this data in the memory, in the HANA memory, you should have a place to store it in a database.
So that's what, your HANA is nothing but in-memory database. You are going to keep all the data and pump into the HANA only.
Yeah, so HANA should have a real database that is supported by SAP, maybe Sybase. That's what I think.
Yeah. From infrastructure point of view, I agree with you. That's the reason why SAP has acquired. When it comes to the log-based application, all the infrastructure you are going to get from Sybase. But the HANA is developed not based on Sybase. For your kind of information, there is a one database, what we call it as a MaxDB from SAP, and even you have a P-star time.
Okay.
And there is a one more, TREX. So that's the algorithm how you are going to pull your data and retrieve. So these are the three core concepts. Using this, SAP has developed their own in-memory solution called HANA. It's not only a Sybase. There are at the back end, if you see, there are different kinds of algorithms to extract the data, to produce your data.
Okay, got it. And I got one more question, that this is a tool for modeling. So, and we have got another tool, maybe the business objects or some other third-party tools sitting above HANA for reporting purposes, right?
Yeah.
So, in our class, which all areas planning to cover? I mean, will you
I'm
be
going to cover
covering
everything. Modeling, extraction, reporting, both.
no, including business objects section?
Yes, but reporting, I'm not going to teach you the native business objects. I'm going to talk about integrating with HANA. Now, let's say we'll start with basically modeling.
Okay.
Once we are done with the modeling, then we'll go to the provisioning. That's what we call extraction. So after that, how you are going to consume in the reporting layer. So I'm going to talk about only that. I'm not going to teach you the native view.
You mean we won't cover any of the reporting tools, that's what?
No. With respect to the HANA, the integrating with HANA. Now let's say you have some views created in the modeling. How you are going to do reporting in business objects. HANA system I'm going to show you.
Okay. So this report, that means the business objects class, is it a separate class?
No. It's a part of this sessions only. But from the basics, how typical business objects reporting tool works, how you are going to generate reports, the regular business objects, I'm not going to teach. With respect to HANA, I'm going to teach only that piece of a BO.
Yeah, we required.
Exactly.
And the interface question, how do you connect the business objects to the HANA layer?
Exactly, yeah.
And you use these layers in these reports.
Yeah. So where to do, what to do, how to do. So I'm going to talk about that one.
So if I want to learn business objects also, it's not this, I cannot expect this from this class, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Do you have any other?
See, if you look in that way, for HANA, in some cases we'll use BODS also, which is optional. So there also, I'm not going.
Okay, proceed.
So there also, I'm not going to teach a regular BODS. From HANA point of view, how you are going to pull. So those steps I will be covering. In the same manner, when it comes to reporting, also same. But it's I don't think so for business objects where you need to take a training or something. It's very handy tool nowadays. When you are referring business objects, you can learn by own. Just you need to spend some time. That's it. It's pretty easy tool nowadays.
Okay. But when so during this certification, HANA certification, will they ask any questions from business objects as such?
Yes. It's more from HANA specific. You'll be having questions.
Okay, so because business objects.
Hey, Arun, we'll talk about all this general stuff. So let me know if you have any questions, or else we'll give chance to other people, and I'll come back to you again.
Okay.
So, is it Arun, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you have any question?
Yes. Can you just go back to the presentation? I mean, page 21.
It's David. Yeah.
Yes, it's David.
Yeah, David. I'm there.
Okay. In page 21, you show SAP Hana landscape, and you mentioned that the route to extract data from PW or SAP ECC to HANA we're using SLT, and for non-SAP system we are using data service. In fact, you mentioned 3 types of data migration method before, and as you know, all of them can extract the data for different SAP or non-SAP. So I'm not sure this is a rule or a guidance or what, because it seems different with the concept before.
Okay. See, we got 3 different options. How you are going to pull your data, irrespective whether it's SAP or non-SAP. But now let's say, as you know, if you are referring to BW system, which is always delay. Now I can't see my data. Today data will be available only tomorrow. Now, just in case your user says, I don't want to wait for a 24 hours or something. I want to see my data right away. Immediately I want to see. So then you need to go for SLT. So SLT, your SAP landscape transformation supports real-time data. But when you say BODS, it is not a real-time data. So it's depend upon your customer requirement. Either you can go any out of three, one. It's not mandatory that you need to use three. Now let's say, as you know, this is a sales strategy of SAP because BODS is a SAP tool, right? So just they are trying to market SAP BODS tool, that's it. So you can use, see, in the past I already executed my two different projects. So I never used BODS to pull data. Just with the SLT, we pulled all the data from source. So that was one CRM system. I worked in that my previous project, and even ECC, and even in fact these two different are source systems. With SLT, I'm going to pull all my data from source to HANA. In that way, I done in my past.
So even now as a SAP system, you're using SLT to pull the data?
Yes. So going forward also, very frequently, we'll be using SLT only. So as that's SAP sales strategy, you know, some customers already they are using BODS, where some customers they are not using. Just they are trying to sell this tool as additional. That's it.
Okay.
Until unless if you don't have any specific requirement where you have multiple source systems where you want to cleanse your data from quality perspective, then obviously that's the one best tool, you know, if you are referring in that transformation level.
Okay. So how about the log-based tool?
Again, David, as on date, log-based application is not open for all general customers, as there is a few restrictions from SAP itself. Because so that site, that's completely the infrastructure. What we are using is from Sybase. So there are already existed customers who are using Sybase. As of now, it is giving to only those customers. So probably it may take some more time for the general general availability. So it's meant for only the existing customers who are using Sybase.
Okay. So we will cover all these three tools or focus on SLT tools in our class.
No, sorry, David, I missed you completely. Could you please come again?
I mean, we will cover all these three tools, SLT, data service, and log-based applications, or just focus on SLT tools.
It's all, you can call it as data provisioning tools.
So our class will cover all?
We are going to cover HANA system hands-on. I'm going to show you SLT and BODS, and not the third one, which is log, because the infrastructure is not available. Probably I can give you some how it works, the basic architecture, phenomena. So it's theory. But remaining to SLT, BODS, it's hands-on. I'm going to show you on a system.
Okay, got it.
Even from SAP training also, they are not covering this log-based right now. If you are referring to the service pack 4, and they are teaching on revision 28. But if you see our software, which is, let me show you. Yeah, there you can see this is 32. So this is the version 1.0, but if you see, there is a revised versions. So now we are using 32 version. But whereas if you go for official SAP training, so it will be 28. So trust me, I can tell you something. A few topics, few things will be covering extremely. So that will be, you know, helping you going forward to understand better. And let me show you how our materials, how classes, everything will be scheduled. So I'll be having a dedicated notes for all different topics and dedicated PowerPoint presentations, which I'm going to share with you. I'm going to talk about one real-time scenario, which is COPA, controlling and profitability analysis. So I'm going to completely demonstrate this entire piece in the system. So how you are going to create your attribute views, how you are going to create your analytic views, and these are the presentations which normally I use for the class. So if you guys are not familiar with the data warehouse, we'll be having a little bit basics, and then we'll pitch into the subject. So like this, it's completely customized presentations which I made for my students. And apart from these PPTs, like this, you got almost I can say 23 presentations you got for the class. And apart from this, you'll be having dedicated notes which will give you better understanding of HANA. Let me show you. Yeah, there you go. If you see here, it's a basic theory. So how, where, what, it's all blah 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 in terms of basic understanding. Once we are done with this basics, so architecture, then walkthroughing with the system. So after a couple of slides, you can notice it will be completely a screenshot of procedure-wise individually. Now here you can see here, step 1, step 2, step 3, how to create attribute view. So wherever you require some theory, the theory is available there. So we are at right now 50, page number 50. Now see there, creating analytical view. We are at page number 65. So like that, if you go, we are going to talk about user security also. Because from certification point of view, you will get a few questions from security. So that's the reason we are going to cover that privileges also. So here all the screenshot, what I am referring, it's specific to the privileges. Yeah, David, you have any questions?
Do you we will get all the materials you mentioned for the certificate, right? For example, HA 100, HA 200, HA 300, and something like that. You showed before.
Are you talking about the SAP materials, which is HA 100, HA 300, that one?
Yes, we will get it.
No, this is completely, I prepared myself, David. This is not those materials. But as on date, those soft copies are not that much available the way how frequently we get. But I can share you with that SAP Hana. But it's almost same. 90% of the content will be the same. Because, now let me go back to that slide. So if you guys are located in India, probably I can give you some hard copy, which is I got to print out that, but unfortunately the soft copy is not still available. And if you see here, so right now with the SP4 version, after SP4 version, we are saying HA100 and HA300, but earlier it was TZ HANA and TZH300, where your TZ HANA is replaced as HA100 and TZH300 as replaced as HA100. So as on date, I got this HA100 and HA300 as a printout. It's hard copy. But TZ HANA and TZH300, I got a soft copy. Probably I can share you that one if you need it. But majority of subject, if you see 90% will be the same almost. Maybe a few changes, that's it, not much.